Miss Michelle Gray. How are you doing? And hi, my boy Eric. And I understand we have Mr. Saget here too.
Yes, we do. I'm doing good. Erik says, "Hi, Mom. I love you."
I
And
love you.
Bob Saget is here. He's he says he's gonna try and tone it down a little bit for me because he's funny. He's definitely funny.
Oh, yeah.
But he says, "I'm here in the flesh," and he's like, "Well, not really, but
Oh
I'm
my
here."
gosh. Well, first, I would like to start with a little moment of silence for my tooth. Please don't fall off. I had a temporary crown put on because my tooth broke Friday. Got home, a couple hours later, the temporary crown comes off. So it's just barely hanging on, people. So if I start choking, then it's probably on that.
Pray it doesn't fall off.
Hey, all right. All right, Mr. Bob Saget, I loved you in Full House. I mean, you say you were a comedian first, actor second. And I'm talking funny because I'm trying to hold it on, okay? Is that true? And thank you for coming here. So, yeah.
Oh, he says thanks for having me. He says that he's happy to be here, he's excited to be here. Um, he says yes, that's true. He says comedy is his first love.
Oh,
That's his he goes, that's where the heart is, that's where the heart is for me. Um, and he says that Full House is how a lot of people know me, how I became um more of a household name, he says.
right. And of course, America's Funniest Home Videos too. Well,
Yeah.
somebody wants to know, these are all from the community. Was the booster, I guess the COVID vaccine booster, the catalyst for your death?
No.
Okay. Did getting COVID earlier? I did not know that. Is it somehow related to your death? I mean, like, did you get blood clots or something? I mean, yeah.
Um, he says no, it's not COVID. He is giving me the chest. So there's something like specifically right in the center is where he's showing me. So I don't know if it's a heart attack or a blood clot, but he's not saying that it was COVID that caused it. He says that like COVID was past, but I am getting like I'm getting clogged up in this area here.
Hmm,
So he wasn't completely himself, wasn't completely well yet.
from the COVID. Well, so what was the cause of death then?
He says his heart.
Okay, like a heart attack, heart failure. Um,
Heart failure. He's saying something very quick. Like it was
okay.
very quick.
So was it like an arrhythmia, like you went to VFib or uh, just a just cardiac
Would
arrest?
would a clot like it's like something being blocked.
Okay, yeah, you could have a
Like
like a
quick.
blocked coronary and have a massive heart attack.
Mhm.
That could cause instant sudden death. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's probably,
he says instant. He was asleep, he says.
oh, really?
Mhm.
All right, somebody asked about that. If you passed in your sleep, did you understand what had happened immediately, or were you confused as to where you were?
Um, he says that he did pass in his sleep. He says that um okay, he's giving me kind of like a little demonstration of his awareness. He says I woke up. I woke up. He's like, and I woke up with he's saying being surrounded by those that he says, am I dreaming? He's doing this. Am I
Oh,
dreaming?
wow.
Am I dreaming? Are you here? Are you here? He's saying like having no awareness of it actually as it's happening. It's like he says from one point to another through his sleep. But he also says they were there to help him understand because he had a little trouble with it. He says
Of course. I bet it was confusing.
yeah, he said that he had some difficulty because he didn't have that period, like he says, when somebody's sick or somebody's expecting it, and he says that he was in the second run of his life. He says, I'm not ready to go. He's repeating, I'm
Oh,
not ready to go. He was happy to see. He says, because he's talking about feeling good, but he said that so much was ahead of him. And he was kind of doing it, but I don't understand. He's like, I don't understand. Does this have to happen? And it was already well past, like he didn't have a choice to come back.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. All right. Somebody in the community said that you had fun dying.
He said, well, I don't really remember the dying part. He says, so I don't know about fun, but I will say the night that I died, I had a lot of fun.
Oh, really? Tell me about
He
it.
he said, it was a reminder, a revival of life for him. He says that it was an excellent evening for him. He said that he felt rejuvenated and he felt reminded of what was good in life, like the reason why he was doing what he was doing.
Oh,
Um, he said that he went to sleep that night feeling content, and feeling good about where he was at in his life. And so he says, I'm here to report that it's not such a bad deal. I'm here to report that it's not painful. I'm here to report that it's actually pretty exciting over here. And he goes, and it's true. He goes, that saying that nobody really knows. He goes, well, yeah, you're not going to know until you get there. But he goes, I'm here to report it's actually pretty good over here.
yeah. If it's your time, people. So was it your time or was it an exit point?
Yeah, he says, yeah, it was an exit point for him. It was his time, and he says, he's like hands up in the air. He goes, like, let's be clear here. He says, as a human being, he says, I was on a roll. It was not my time. I was,
Oh, yeah.
if they had have asked me, if I had have had my choice, I would have signed the contract for a little longer because
Oh,
I had sworn to eternal life. And he goes, however, he says, I kind of got that. I did kind of get that. But
yeah.
yeah, it's my time. He goes, I'm now understanding that I've got things here that I can do that are connected to my life on earth and to those that
Oh,
I love.
good. For example,
He says that he's really big on humanity,
mm,
that he's connected, and he's saying, and he goes, Lisa, you know a lot about this, about the Project Humanity. He
oh,
says,
yeah.
because there's a lot of good things going on over on this side that we're very invested in with, he says, putting the world back together with helping people. And he says, and I had really gone as far as I could go on a collective level on earth.
Ah,
And
yeah,
so he says, now I'm part of a bigger plan here on this side of things.
I see. All right. Interesting. Now, so let me see. There's a lot here about right after you passed. Um, I would like to know when you died, if you saw a bright light or darkness.
He says that he woke up and he's talking about it being very vivid.
Yeah.
He's actually saying that he saw himself in his childhood kitchen.
Oh,
It
is
looked
that
like his childhood
right?
kitchen.
Cool. Who was the first person you met? Or persons?
He's showing me, I'm not sure I can recognize his face. He's an older comedian. Um, uh, um, I'm not sure what his name is. Maybe you can give me some
George
hints.
Carlin?
No, he's kind of a heavier set guy. He's short. He's calling him like a
Oh,
father to him.
okay.
He says his family, they were all there, but he's saying like, I knew I was dead when I saw this guy here. He goes, because this
Oh,
guy wanted to get rid of me. Like he's making a joke about it. He's like, I knew something was up that this guy was here. But he says that they're all sitting him down like at the kitchen table saying, here's the deal. This is
oh.
what's going on.
So the comedian father figure plus some members of your family, you're saying.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, that's when you realize, wow, I'm dead.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Mm. So what are your observations about the afterlife now? Is it as glorious as you expected, or did you even believe in life after death? Were you an atheist?
No, I wasn't an atheist. Um, I had a lot of curiosity about death.
Hmm.
I couldn't have told you exactly what it was, but I believed in there being something. Um, when it comes to religion, I did have a religion that I was raised in. And so there were pieces of that in my life that did kind of support my belief system. But as far as this part of things, this is a little bit of a shocker to me because I didn't really entertain what you and your good son are doing. That part of things I wasn't too versed on.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Have you hung out with Betty White and Alan yet?
Yes, yes, we finally had that cocktail together.
Yes. Okay. My daughter. Okay. But it keeps going on my computer too. I don't know how to stop that. All right. Um, okay, interesting. So what inspired you to serve humanity with humor, Bob?
Well, there's a couple things. On a soul level, I came into this world with, we'll say, the funny bone.
Yeah.
I was born with a funny bone, and that was part of my personality or part of my traits from some of what I had experienced through past lives. But in this life consciously, I used humor as medication. I used it as therapy, not only for what I could give to other people, but I used it for myself. I
Oh,
used it as a way to be able to work through um, difficulty, to work through pain. And sometimes it would get the best of me. Sometimes it would go too far, but it was always a way to be able to clear the air in a room. It was always a way to lift people up because humor really is the best medicine.
it is just wonderful. What impacted you the most in your life that guided you to become a comedian slash actor?
My father.
Really? Tell us about that. And also just tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Well, my father, sometimes inappropriate, but funny, a funny man.
Mm,
He had gone through some difficulties in his life. He had seen some hard times,
mm.
some difficult times, and he really showed me how to use humor. As sometimes he's saying his timing, his father's timing with his
Oh,
jokes. It made me pay attention, and I watched him be able to use humor to help him cope, to
that's
help him cope with change, with loss. I have a loving family. My parents, um, my siblings, raised in a loving family.
oh, that's good. Did you regret taking the role as Danny Tanner? As his stand-up comedy was very raunchy in comparison to the loving dad we saw on TV alone. I did not know that.
No, no regrets. Um, the um, darker humor of the way I was before, taking Danny Tanner, taking that position was definitely a switch. But see, it was a good thing for me. It challenged me in different ways.
Mm.
I was still able to use my humor in different ways, but also I created something in relationships and seeing from my perspective. And I always knew this, but relationships are really the most important thing. And so that time in my life created the best relationships that supported me throughout my years on earth.
Well, that's amazing. Were there any negative things that happened to the Olsen twins during filming? And did that contribute to them not being involved with the filming of the reboot? First of all, was there anything negative happening?
He's kind of leaning back. He's leaning back in his chair a little bit, and he's doing one of these like, well, it's not. He says it's an inappropriate situation. He goes, not in the way that people are thinking. He says some jokes and taking things too far. He says nothing was physically done to
Well,
the twins.
I was wondering why, now I see these questions, were you ever sexually inappropriate or predatory with young children?
No.
But were you upset because I didn't know there were allegations that you were a pedophile. That must have been very upsetting.
And he's being very serious about this because he understands it was very upsetting to him, but he also understands that he has some responsibility in the fact that he says that my humor, those that knew me, those that were closest to me, he's talking about like when you're close to somebody and there's a lot of inside jokes and you can take jokes too far. You can he says being in a bad place in his life, like going through some difficulties in his life, and he says taking things too far, like a joke out of context, and it being he says like a telephone, like somebody says this
Oh,
and then says this, and
uh,
then putting together a whole bunch of things he had done out of context, and so it supported this as looking like it was what it was. And he says, and it wasn't, but he does understand that he learned from that, because he says that what happened there also kind of was able to tame down some of the things that he did. Like it made him think twice about what he did in public
okay.
and stuff.
So one person asked, did you really think the jokes with pedophilic undertones were funny? So what you're saying is that you kind of crossed the line a little bit, but they were taken out of context and made a mountain out of a molehill, made it worse, than it really, more suggestive than they really were originally. Is that what you said?
He says, yeah, and he says, like as a human being, there's nothing funny about it, and he understands that there's nothing funny about it.
Yeah.
But he also said that on a soul level, and he wants to be clear. He says, remember, he's able to speak from a soul level, and he
Yeah.
says from that soul perspective, I also brought forward an opportunity for people to be able to not take everything so seriously. And he's taking this away from the subject matter and just saying
Okay.
sometimes things appear to be a certain way, and we should always not believe everything that we see, even though he's saying that there were a lot of jokes, and it was like people would play on whatever had taken place that
Mhm.
he did. It was like more comedians, there were more jokes that took place to kind of rib at him for what he had done, and so it made it look really bad.
Okay.
But he says it's just to remember when you see something, it's not always what it seems. And he's just saying that had it have been what he really did, there would have been people would have heard more about it. But he also said he understands because at that time Hollywood was also starting to expose some really
Yeah.
difficult things, and he says he was right at that line in time.
Oh, wow. There's a roast in your honor some years ago that can be found on YouTube. My question is, how were many comments on the roast considered humorous when they involved young children? Here it goes again. That roast, which he laughed about and did not deny, was about him being extremely inappropriate with toddlers. I want to,
So he says that this is what he's talking about.
yeah,
And he just says, I apologized for it. He says, I apologized for it then and many times through.
yeah. But in your heart, I mean, you're not a pedophile. Is that what you're saying?
No, no.
Dr. Lisa, you should know there have been, here we go, been unsafe. I did not know this at all. Been unsavory rumors for years that he and his male co-stars, I'll be polite, hit on all of their female co-stars while on Full House, including the Olsen twins while they were in their teens. Is that true? And what does it mean? Hit on? Was it just flirting, or I mean, or nothing, or?
No, he says that they all know him very well. We all know each other very well.
Okay.
No, he says that as they got older, they went from being like a daughter to friends.
Okay.
But he says no, no.
But you apparently you joked about did you really want to date the girls on Full House when they turned legal, like you always said in your stand-up comedy, or was that just a joke?
He says it was taking things too far. It was a joke.
Okay, but did you want to date them?
No.
Okay. Do you have any regrets on how you treated people during your life? Let's turn this around and make it happy.
He says, yeah, there was a time in his life, and he's talking about his younger years, like when he was doing a stand-up comedy, and even through his years in Full House and that, there was times where he had taken things, he says, not caring the same way that he did towards the end of his life. He says he learned a lot. He learned a lot about people, and he learned to really cherish people. And he goes, and he's saying this about a lot of comedians. He says a lot of comedians have two sides to them, and they have
Yeah.
a side to them that is, funny and crass and dark and all these things. But the truth is that there's a lot of sensitivity and a lot of heart and a lot of love. And he says, and often all of this comes from a great deal of pain, sometimes loss and addiction. And comedians can be very complicated individuals.
Yeah, like
And
Robin Williams is a case in point.
yes, and he says, yes, exactly. And Robin Williams, he says, was a friend of his, was a friend of his. He's also saying many comedians are healers as well. And he says to remember that healers in the world come in so many different ways. But he says those that knew him, those that really knew who he was, knew exactly the way that his heart was. And he has no regrets with that.
Oh, so you talk about pain and darkness. Can you share a little bit about the pain and darkness in your life? Did you have any great loss or struggles?
He says, yeah, he did. He had difficult relationships. He says he had a marriage that ended, some relationships. He also lost family. He says his immediate family, he lost them all. He lost a sibling.
Mm.
He's saying several family members. He says that death was a regular thing for him.
Oh,
He had lost many people close to him.
yeah, including Robin Williams.
Mhm.
Have you met him at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He's reunited with many of them, he says.
Okay. Did you have any trouble with substance abuse or any form of addiction?
He says that there was a time period when he was younger that, there may have been something that was kind of going through the party scene or something that he may have tried, but no.
Okay.
No.
Did you enjoy, now it's lifting, the light is shining. Did you enjoy your time on Full House? Share some of the fondest memories also.
He says that he did. He says that he had amazing relationships that were cultivated. And also he says he's showing me and giving me this feeling like when you're trying to be serious, like you're trying to be serious and you're trying to deliver something serious and you cannot stop laughing.
Oh, I
Like
bet.
you're trying to hold it together and be really serious and it's just not coming out, or you're just he's like, we knew how to work off of each other. We knew how to get along. He says that on a personal note, not only through um working with them like coworkers, but there was a lot of he's talking about like family, like helping each other.
Hmm.
And he says some of the hard times for him that was also helped, like assisted some of the hard times that they had
Yeah.
helped him, like family as well.
Yeah. Okay. Um, were you a father figure to some of the younger actors on the show? For example, the Olsen twins? Did they ever confide in you or seek advice?
He says, yeah, he felt more like a father figure when they were younger.
Hmm.
He says that as they grew, it,
Yeah,
it was more like a friendship,
I
like a
got you.
friendship. Mhm.
Did you favor one twin over the other or the same?
He's kind of laughing, saying it took him a while to tell them apart.
Oh, okay. Would you mind, oh, interesting. Would you mind asking him about if you died on your sister's birthday? Was that destined to be that way?
He's showing the number nine, the number nine.
Okay.
Um, he's talking about endings of a cycle. He says
Oh,
when one cycle ends, another one begins,
mhm.
and he says that there's like significance to. He's calling it like a time and space, like divine timing.
Oh, okay. So it was some sort of destiny. Apparently, you left a legacy bringing awareness to the disease that took her life many years ago. I have no idea what it was. And this person found it very comforting to hear that you went out on her birthday. I don't know, went out to celebrate or went out just like went out of life. Um, but do you want to talk about that?
He's saying so there's two females that are on the same level as him, which would be sibling.
Okay.
There's two females. So there's one um that he's got a lot of like charity or sense of charity with.
Okay.
And okay, let's see what he's saying here. He's just saying he's talking about it being um like a bittersweet, like serendipity, like in honor of
Okay.
um because he's showing a lot of dedication to and I don't know exactly what it is, but he's calling it rare, like a rare disease,
Okay.
a rare disease.
Okay.
And his sister must have died younger,
Okay.
and so he's just saying that it's like something like he's kind of like, it's not like I wanted to exit on that day, like humanly he didn't do that,
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
but he's just saying like he would think of her every year on that day. So
Yeah.
it was just like that was part of that serendipity, that synchronicity on
Okay.
that day.
Uh, can you talk about another life that most influenced your one as Robert Saget?
Okay, he's showing me um Egypt. He's calling it like a mm, what are you calling this? Starts with an M. It was like he's saying like a Jewish fighting, like like a group of fighters
Okay.
in Egypt. And this is like back, I don't know if this is like 1700s,
Okay.
late 1700s, and he's showing being very committed to a cause,
Mm,
being part of this group and being committed to a cause, fighting for a cause. And he says, fighting till the death, fighting for a cause. And
okay.
then he says that learning from that lifetime that violence and anger and bitterness is not a way to deal with things, that you can fight for a cause in a more positive way, that you can
Just
be more
humor.
positive. And
Like,
yes, and
yeah.
he says that's what directly affected him on a
Interesting.
soul level in this life, to be very positive focused and to choose positivity, and to also, he says, work together, because it was very important to him in this life to he says, it's very easy to be negative, it's very easy to be
Oh,
be
yeah.
angry, he says, but it takes a lot of hard work and focus and mental focus to choose positivity. And he says that that's directly affected from that lifetime, or reflected.
Okay. What were you here to teach? And what were you here to learn in this life?
He says learning, he says there's a couple things. um One would be perseverance. He says personally, perseverance,
Okay.
um, being able to keep going, regardless of what might have popped up to stop him on the way, because there were
Okay.
times where he could have stopped. Um, and then he says, also learning that failure really isn't failure, that failure is opportunity, and failure also is a way to understand that everybody comes in with unique challenges,
Yeah.
that none of us are exempt to it. He's like, you're a human being. He goes, you got body parts. He says, then you are definitely here to have some sort of an adversity, because that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Teaching. He says that one of the biggest things that he taught, he says, one would be kindness,
Okay.
to be more kind.
Mm,
He also says that to teach that we can't change things that have already happened, no
okay.
matter how much we worry,
Yeah.
no matter how much we feel the pain or want to hold on to the pain,
Hmm.
that we can't change what's happened. And he says that that's something that he's expressing, that his passing is teaching right now as well.
Okay. Interesting. So do you feel like you accomplished your spiritual mission? What you came or set out or contracted to do in this life?
He says yes.
Oh, that's good. Any messages for your fans? Me being one.
I says it's so good to be here. He says, like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not really here, but I am here. And he says, I love you all. I love each and every one of you. He says,
Mhm.
now that I am able to be everywhere at the same time, which is a pretty cool thing. He
Mm,
says, I'm really sitting right beside you. So if you look to the left of you, there I am. I'm right beside you. And for some of you, it might be on the right, but I love you all.
oh, that's a very sweet message. What's the most important piece of advice you can give us now that you lived life and have experienced the other side?
You know what, guys? Don't listen to the news. Don't listen to the
Oh,
news.
no.
You really don't need to listen to it. You know, you think you need to be informed with all kinds of things, but it's okay to kind of get to know things. It's okay to understand generally what's going on, but we really have to inject more kindness into this world.
Yeah.
We've got to be kinder as a human race. We got to do better. But I can tell you that it does get better. It does get better. So while you're there on Earth, do your best, give your best, hug your loved ones, tell them how much you love them, tell them it's going to be okay. But also know that when your time comes and your day's over and you've done everything that you need to do, he says, know that they're going to be there waiting for you.
Yeah,
You're going to get together with them again. It's going to be a great time.
exactly. So Eric, what do you think about Bob? I mean, tell me about your relationship with Mr. Saget, the short time you've known him.
Of course you'd say that.
Uh-oh.
He says that he likes to talk up shit just like he does.
All
He
right,
says
that sounds like
literally.
what?
Because Eric likes to use shit as an analogy for all kinds of things.
Oh, I know.
He says so.
Analogical humor.
Yeah, there's some similarities there. But no, Bob is just saying he's like this is a great kid you got here. This
Oh,
is a great kid. He goes, I really like him. And he says, he's really showing me a lot.
oh, that's awesome. All right, well, I don't have anything else to ask. Michelle, do you have anything else to ask?
I'm just gonna comment that I'm absolutely pleasantly surprised at how kind I didn't know much about Bob Saget other than um you know, Full House like a lot of us did, and I didn't know anything about his comedy or anything else like that. And um he and his energy is so immensely loving
Oh,
and just so it's beautiful. So I'm very honored to be able to connect with him today.
that's and I am so honored also that you agreed to this interview. Some parts were a little uncomfortable, but you know, you have to have your voice heard too, and misconceptions need to be straightened out where possible. Have you had your life review, by the way?
He's saying that it's like it's almost like it's still in process. Like he's fully
Oh,
crossed over. He's fully crossed over.
okay.
He says that for the most part, he says like on in our understanding, he says for the most part, yes.
Okay. All right, great. And you guys, please subscribe to this channel, check out, and also hit the notification bell, share, like, but also check out the wonderfully awesome Michelle Gray at thehealing-art.com, which will be in the description box, of course.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Thank you. Love you, Bob.
Bye. Love you.
Michelle.
Eric said, love you. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.